What if I was to tell you there's a strange lake in northern Tanzania made of liquid acid, where water transforms to a deadly mixture of sodium carbonate, burning skin to the touch, where Mother Nature produces a water made of poison no living thing would dare consume or touch? The name of this stinking place is called Lake Natron, where the smell of corrosive death mixes with the hot, melting savanna mud. This, for many, is a place they call the real hell on earth. But what if I was to tell you it was also a place of sheer magic? Because it is here, at this very lake, where upwards of 500,000 flamingos gather to breed each year in the safety of the molten acidic mud. Here, there is no fear. There is instead life and resilience, because there is a species who have found a way. They have become adaptable enough to transform and survive. And despite how bad it gets, they do more than just live. They thrive. It's estimated that over 3 million flamingos inhabit lakes similar to this one along the East African Rift Valley, because somehow these creatures are the only ones to evolve, feed, breed, and cope with life in such corrosive and acidic conditions. The flamingos have learned to trawl the shallows of this sodium carbonate mudflat lake to find food without drinking the toxic water. But what if we had it within each of us to be highly adaptive? What if we had it within us to be resilient, to not just live, but to thrive? And what if this power was something not outside ourselves, but something we possessed within us all along? What would it mean to how we choose to live for the rest of our lives? Incredibly, millions of flamingos have learned to trawl the toxic shallows of acid mudflats to live and thrive. But you, the real you, the barrier-free, the full of confidence and self-belief, the fully aware of your talents and strengths and true potentials, the impenetrable, the determined, the uncompromising, the don't give a damn about what other people think because this is the one life you get to live, you is against all odds the most highly adaptive and resilient creature ever created. What I'm talking about, who I'm talking about, what this podcast is all about, is the one and the only real, authentic you. Welcome to the Authentic You podcast, a hilarious, educational, and informative guide to master what it means to live as the authentic you. This podcast is designed for the sprinter without brakes, those running 100 miles an hour who have lost their spark and are looking for practical and effective and proven ways to add more peace, balance, and joy in their lives. It's designed for the traveler without a compass, those who are not sure what to do next with their life today, or for those with a well-established career that has taken them further and further away from their purpose. This podcast will show you how to fill that void with more passion and purpose. This podcast is also designed simply for those looking to optimize, be it proven techniques in career promotion, personal growth, or 21st century goal-setting techniques that will make you even more unstoppable than you are today. Hi, my name's Goran Yerkovich, and I'll be your host. As the son of working-class immigrants, I've lived the underdog story, going from out of luck and single, totally broke and sleeping on an air mattress, to realizing how to harness what it means to live as the authentic me. And in doing so, I found true love, true lasting love, and in playing to my strengths, I learned how to double my salary not once but twice in 5 years. I went from near minimum wage call center rep to becoming a 6-figure consultant and doing much more. And then, to the shock of many, I found a way to walk away from that career and to finally do something much more important. And that was to finally begin living each day as the authentic me. Today, I get to spend my time doing what I love as a writer, as a storyteller, as a mentor, and now as a podcaster. My mission in this podcast is to have some fun while we talk about what it means to live our authentic lives. In this podcast, we're going to talk about not just my lessons, because I by no means have it all figured out. So I've spent years researching some of the best and most profound ideas from philosophers, academics, scientists, and thought leaders from today and from years past. We'll discuss the best of those ideas and what they mean and how they can help us live not just a good life, but one where we thrive. We'll look at the latest breakthroughs in science, including mindset coaching, cognitive therapy, and even some neuroscience that will finally help us explain how to harness the concepts of goal setting, purpose, and flow in ways that we can apply on a daily basis. I'll also include my real-life, filter-free, embarrassing, comedy-filled, and too ridiculous to be made up stories of me growing up, and I'll share my real-life underdog story and the exact steps I took to make my dreams today a reality so that you too can do this. And we'll start off each episode with an incredible forgotten tale of historical fact or possible fiction from history's lost archives, from the files of the most underrated and misunderstood. These are valuable lessons worth another look. So that's the short summary of what it's all about, and I really like to think of it as a mixed potato salad of really awesome stuff. But before we go there, we need to talk about what I believe is one of the biggest problems that's never discussed. It's something so big, I believe it's the key reason why most of us never spend our days reaching our full potential. I believe it's why most of us never get to buy that sailboat we dream of. It's why most of us never get to spend our days doing what we love. Because of a problem I call the human problem. To begin this journey, it's important we talk about this problem first. It's something I call the human problem because as bad as you might feel right now about a certain thing in your life, the truth is there are many others, millions in fact, who feel similar to you. We are connected in many ways, including the human problem. But what is the human problem? Well, it's really these questions. Why are there so many of us in the world not fully satisfied with our lives? Why are there so many of us who can't sleep at night? Why are there so many of us who worry all the time? Why have some of us lost our spark and drive? Why have some of us lost our passion and joy and excitement for life? Why are some of us living with so much conflict, anxiety, and stress? But to answer these questions, we have to face one of the biggest issues in humanity, which is really how to live as our real, authentic selves. How do we find the instruction manual where we regain our passion and joy and excitement for life? After all, life was meant to be enjoyed. But this fact has been lost somewhere along the way. Because the problems are really big. According to a 2018 statistic from the World Health Organization, it's estimated over 300 million people suffer from depression, and another 100 to 200 million suffer from a variety of mental illnesses or related disorders. Now, these are 2018 statistics. Where are those numbers today with the pandemic? In another survey from the Conference Board, a staggering 53% of those surveyed in the United States were unhappy with their jobs. So maybe the problem is that we're just too busy to actually do what we love with our lives. Okay, wait. Let's pause here and face up to something right here and right now. It's time we discuss a false belief that might be holding you back from your own happiness and success today. Because in a survey from the U.S. Board of Labor Statistics, American men and women watch on average of 2.5 to 3 hours of TV per day. Meaning whatever precious time is left in our busy schedules, we're completely wasting it. We're wasting it because we're not taking on the responsibilities we need to be successful at life. If you're young, between the ages of 18 to 35, you should be building your career, building your wealth, saving your money, so that you won't be living with mom or dad until you're 40, so that you won't be struggling to make ends meet when you're 50. If you're in your late 30s to early 50s, you'll have realized by now that life is not at all about money now that you have it. It's about what you do with your time. It's about your family, about spending time with your close friends. It's about new experiences, and most of all, especially now in this day and age, it's about the little things that we do each day that bring us joy and fulfillment in our lives. But right now, today, during the pandemic, the vast majority of the incredibly talented and financially successful people that I know are unable to say no to the extra work. The reason I needed to launch this podcast now is because the thing I feared would happen is unfortunately coming true. Today, there are more people than ever that are burnt out. As bad as it was before the pandemic, as bad as mental health was before, today it is worse. You see, remote work has not been the answer because so many of us are still not sure what to do with our time. For the friends and colleagues I've spoken to, they've all replaced their hour-long morning commute into the office to just rolling out of bed and going straight to work on their computers. They've said time and again that their team has been highly productive this year, but in the same breath, they know everybody is burnt out. Because they're all sprinting to an imaginary, always moving finish line. They're not making time for an early morning ritual that energizes their mornings. They're not going for a midday walk or run. They're not calling a great friend or family member they haven't spoken to in months. They're filling their time with more work, and then they're collapsing in front of the TV, opening another bag of chips, another bottle of wine, exhausted, frustrated, and looking for noise and distraction. This is why I've created the 5 for 5 challenge. Go to my online magazine at The-Inspired.com and subscribe to the 5 for 5 challenge on the homepage. And then just give me 5 minutes of your time for 5 days, and I'll show you easy to follow, paradigm shifting techniques that will transform your days. The 5 for 5 challenge benefits include how to reduce workplace and remote work burnout, how to re-energize and become fully engaged in life and in work, how to evaluate and transform your daily routines, how to learn how to finally start doing what you love each day, and how to remove negative thoughts to reduce conflict and self-doubt starting right away. Because the truth is, most of us are continuously on a daily basis giving away our power by giving away our time. Like we have an endless supply of it. Like the good health you have today will last forever. Like the people you love the most in your life will be around for the rest of your life. Because sadly we know that's not true, and yet here we are giving away our power, doing things we know are not good for us, continually giving away our time. We're not slowing down. We're pushing all our chips in because most of us are living for tomorrow. Okay, and for the 20-somethings listening, as Scott Galloway says, ignore the keynote speakers at your high school or at your college graduation who tell you to follow your dreams, because guess what? Those people are rich. They put in the time, the dedication, the hard work decades before you were born. Yes, a few of them might have been lucky enough to do what they love and get paid a ridiculous amount of money for it, but it's safe to assume that won't be you. This doesn't mean not spending time on what you love, but be realistic and take care of your foundations first. Remember that your hierarchy of needs start from the bottom and work their way up. What I mean is, you'll need to be able to pay your bills, to have a roof over your head, before you can become a traveling magician. You'll need life experience before you can write your memoir or become a keynote speaker. I've waited 20 years in knowing what I wanted to do and be before I could actually start doing it, because whether you agree with me or not, I had to put in my time. I had to learn that in life, in the philosophy and in the scientific approach I've taken with the content you'll hear in this podcast, that you need to have your hierarchy of needs covered first. Check out Maslow's hierarchy of needs if you don't know what I'm talking about, and then compare them with the 21st century updated version I've created at The-Inspired. Okay, in full disclosure here, if you're enjoying this podcast so far, if you think you might be willing to stick around for the ride, know that I am not a scientist. I did not go to an Ivy League school, and I do not have a PhD. In fact, I struggled most my way through high school. I barely squeezed into university, and then I switched majors 10 times. 2 years into university, I dropped out for a year until I finally went back to finish my undergraduate at the University of Calgary. Once I had learned a valuable lesson in life, and that lesson was that most of us don't have it all figured out. I certainly don't have it all figured out. But with this podcast, with over the 150 articles I've written and researched, and with my 2 decades of ups and downs, my experiences traveling to over 40 countries in the world, my years living in London, my many trips to visit family in my homeland of Croatia, and my struggles in 2005, starting from broke in Vancouver, Canada, I found a way to rise. I found a way to love what I do each day. But know this, doing what you love each day comes at a cost. It comes with risk and uncertainty. It comes with the great possibility that you may fail to accomplish your dream, what you love. And as much as I know that some important people in my life may not completely understand why I'm doing this, for me now in my early 40s, with the maturity to know our time here is precious, I've realized life is all about the choices we make, and that it's better to fail at something you love than to never have tried at all. And that for me, my greatest fear, that one thing I would have been thinking about on my deathbed would have been, did I do enough with my life? Did I use my skills, my gifts and talents to give back? Or did I just collect a safe and fat paycheck, even when I knew it wasn't my calling? Because for a long time now, decades in fact, I knew this was my calling. And when you have the privilege to live each day inside your calling and still maintain your life foundations, it truly is one of the greatest joys in life. So what you'll see here, what you'll hear in this podcast are my experiences and incredible real life stories that are some of the most crucial and vital lessons in life. What I know now for certain is that once you find your calling and you find a way to put time towards it, you'll discover an amazing, mysterious synchronicity to it, as if you're following a destiny that was always there. All you had to do was chip away at it to see it, to put in the time to build your passions around it, and then to remove all the obstacles in your life preventing you from living inside it. And yes, this may include being a traveling magician, if that's really the authentic you. But as dark as things may feel sometimes, the good news is this human problem is a place many of us have been in and found our way out of. There is hope, and there is a way to change how we live, who we are, and what we do next with our time. Okay, I know all of that was quite heavy, but I really needed to demonstrate just how big the problem is and how it's manifesting in so many different ways. In this first episode, I really wanted us to take a look at the problem, but I also want to show you the lighter side of things. We'll also talk about love and relationships. I'll bring my wife in for a few episodes and we can let her explain how she used a standard form letter in her first communication to me and how I fell for it and thought, wow, look at all the effort she put in sending me this first communication. Yes, this is my wife. Much, much smarter than I am. We'll also discuss friendship and family and even surviving cancer. I also want to fully admit I'm learning as I go. This is my first ever podcast, so I welcome your feedback. I welcome your constructive criticism, and I welcome any incredible stories that maybe you want to help us share on this podcast. This podcast will also include some incredible, tragic, and profound stories like the hell of Sierra Pelada, where men became slaves to their jobs, or where the idea of marriage and mind cake comes from. And we'll also look at some of the best but most underrated and misunderstood ancient philosophies, including Stoicism, and how it can add more peace, resilience, adaptability, and harmony in our lives. We'll also get into so much more in terms of self-evaluation, growth mindset, purpose, inspired flow, optimized flow, the power of action, neuroplasticity, and daily habits that can transform our lives. Okay, I know all of this can seem like a big mixed potato salad of stuff, and we all know most potato salads are not very good. So, to be clear, when I say mixed potato salad, I don't mean a 5-day-old discount tub of bad potato salad that costs $3, including tax. No, I mean that taste of your first bite of a potato salad at your first amazing barbecue of the season, with that ice-cold drink in your hand, the sun shining hot above, great music playing in the background, your best friends and family in attendance, and maybe that special someone you're with, or hoping to talk to more, who just gave you a smile from across the backyard. That kind of potato salad, where you think to yourself after the first bite, wow, what is this mouth-watering marvel of perfectly skin-crisp, red roasted potato and homemade mayo, and what are these secret ingredients? Meaning, there will be no boiled potatoes in this podcast. And this podcast will tell you all about the special blend of herbs and secret spices. In fact, it will be so good that after your salad, and maybe after a few generous sips of your drink, you'll even be willing to walk over and talk to your crazy old Uncle Joe and Aunt Rita, who just drove 600 hours nonstop from Alaska, and who can't wait to show you their new miniature ceramic cat collection of 85 tiny, 2-inch tall ceramic and shiny painted cats mounted across their aging RV dash. A collection that they'll need your help with to watch over and polish daily while they visit, just in time for summer. Okay, I went a little too far there. This podcast probably won't be that good, but I hope you still like it. One last bit before we get started. A lot of my friends have been asking me for years to start this podcast because, truthfully, some of my best friends have very short attention spans and might not be able to read. I mean, they can read, but not really more than one full paragraph per day, and then they need a break to go save a cat from a tree or text someone a GIF, is it GIF or GIF, of someone saving a cat from a tree, or telling us a story about how they're absolutely fearless except when it comes to oceans and sharks. I guess that would be sharks in oceans. But if you are someone who does enjoy a good article on the mixed potato salad of topics mentioned, then you'll want to sign up for our free weekly newsletter at The-Inspired.com, which is the with a dash followed by the word inspired. I hate reading out this stuff, dashes and dots. It's just not natural. But it is The-Inspired.com with a dash in between. And this is my free online magazine I started in 2017, read in over 100 countries, except by my friends who we've already established have big hearts, are afraid of sharks, and can't read long form. But if you are afraid of sharks, just hit the subscribe button for this podcast, and I promise, while there might be a few stories about some shark dives I've done, you will not be eaten by a shark. At least, most likely not. And if you love or even have a tiny bit of tepid warmth for the content in this podcast, you can also check out my newly minted 4 years in the making masterclass called The Authentic You Life Foundations Masterclass. You can find it under the courses page at The-Inspired.com, or you can go directly there at courses.the-inspired.com. And if you'd like to support this podcast, I have set up a Patreon page with 3 very cool membership levels and awesome benefits, including VIP backstage access, welcome to Fight Club, and your private VIP room with benefits that are so good within each one, they might just be illegal. You can find the link to the Patreon page within the podcast description. And if you're looking for the ultimate career and personal growth advice as you begin to prepare for the rapidly shifting post-pandemic world coming soon, and the 5 easy steps it takes to add more adaptability, resilience, and joy in your days, then I strongly encourage you to sign up for my free 5 for 5 challenge. As employers shift to keep their best employees, and as you seek out new opportunities that better align to the real, authentic you, these 5 easy steps will show you how to position more success in your today and in your new tomorrow. As part of the 5 for 5 challenge, I'll also provide the 5 most common mistakes we make when we start our days and how to ensure they never happen to you again. A recent US Gallup study found that only 28% of the working population was actually fully engaged in their jobs, in what they did during the day, for a living, each day, for 5 or more days a week. That's a shocking statistic. This means only 28% felt excited about the workday ahead. If this is an accurate snapshot of what's going on today, if this finding rings true for you, it means the vast majority of us don't feel dedicated or devoted or loyal to the work in front of us each day. This is impacting not just our ability to deliver, but also our overall morale, our drive, and ultimately our ability to feel fulfilled each day. And this isn't just bad news for you, it's bad news for your business too. If you're a team lead or supervisor, or a manager, or a business owner, or part of the executive team, it means your overall workspace productivity and culture is limiting your ability to compete and succeed within your market space. This is why I've set up the 5 for 5 challenge. Give me just 5 minutes of your time for 5 days, and I'll show you the ultimate guide to transform your workdays using 5 paradigm-shifting strategies that literally will only take minutes. I'll also provide the 5 most common mistakes we make when we start our days and how to ensure they never happen again. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're languishing your way through the many long days of this pandemic, and you're ready to challenge yourself with something exciting and new, you really have nothing to lose. And if you're the supervisor or team lead, or the manager, or the business owner, or part of the executive team, try this 5 for 5 challenge for yourself, and then apply these concepts with your least engaged employees who might need these strategies the most. To sign up again, all you have to do is subscribe at The-Inspired.com, and let's get moving forward together towards this new post-pandemic world. Oh, and if you're already a subscriber, you'll also receive the 5 for 5 challenge direct to your inbox, so no action is required on your part. Thanks again for your time, thank you for listening, and until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. This podcast will also include my favorite summer barbecue recipes dedicated to 12 ways to make, yes, you guessed it, potato salad. Okay, I'm kidding. But if you are big into potato salad, or perhaps you are part of the potato salad syndicate, or maybe you're the Unilever of potato salads producers out there, feel free to be my sponsor for the show, because I think we're about to turn the page in just what potato salad was always meant to be. And that's pretty darn good. Welcome to the Authentic You podcast, and until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.